Let me hear you scream. It's the Worldwide DJ Coalition.
Exactly. Always keep it real. Always paying back. It's a fantastic segue, man. Y'all know what this is. BDSIR Network, the best damn show. No. Can't start it like that. I told you. We're on the road to the general election. Rishi Sunak, is that his name? The guy who didn't have Sky TV. He says we have to send for a general election. Why? I don't know. Okay? We're going to talk about it. There's a lot we're going to talk about. The big general election. So we've got a special guest in the building. Y'all know who this is. Grant Body P. Acknowledge me. So actually, no, not this time round. Don't acknowledge me this time round. You know what I mean? Co-host ONNI back in the building after a long while. How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm excited about this interview today. Grant Body P. Let's get going. I can't wait for this.
Man, people, it goes like this, man. Thursday, July 4th, go out there, play your part, do what needs to be done, put the X in the correct box. We're gonna help you do that. You know what I mean? Don't be on your social media going, Labour did this, Conservative did that, especially if you're from Wolverhampton, okay? Wolverhampton West in particular. No, Labour did this, Liberal Democrat did that. That's not going to help unless you put the X in the box, which brings me to my special guest.
Go and vote, people.
You know what I mean?
If you want to be heard, you need to go and vote.
All politicians are the same. Not this guy, because he's not exactly a politician, and we're going to get into it. You know what I mean? This guy, y'all need to acknowledge him. He's running for Wolverhampton West. Acknowledge him. He's working for the... Actually, not working. That's the wrong word. He's representing the Workers' Union. Acknowledge him. The man called Mr. Chopra. Welcome to RePPiN4U.
Welcome, Mr. Chopra. We're so delighted to have you on our show. We feel honoured today.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm honoured. I'm honoured as much as you are.
So much.
I'm very honoured.
It's an honour and privilege.
I appreciate that you guys came yesterday as well to our hostings as well. Really appreciate that.
That was very interesting.
It
very
was
interesting. We got a lot of information just about what goes on and things like that, what's going on in our community, what's going on in the world really, but we're going to cover all that today, so it's going to be very interesting today. But before we move on, people, go and vote. If you want your say, you need to go and vote.
Put the X in the right box, and you have to fold up the paper and put in our box and give to the people then. You know, that's what you have to do. Then you can update your Facebook, okay? Because that's what the problem is, in my opinion. You know what I mean? The quote wrong person gets into power and they're complaining about it, and more time I'm thinking, well, you didn't go out and do anything.
Yeah, you didn't even vote, so that's why. So the wrong person who you didn't want to get there has got there, but you didn't vote for the right person.
One vote doesn't make a difference. Shut up.
Every vote makes a difference, guys.
You should be sitting there.
Nah, man. I know. People say I got energy. People say I got energy. I got passion. Not compared to.
About St. Edmunds. So St. Edmunds, you're doing a great job, right? So he says to me, how's your education going? He said, I was looking for the issues, to be honest. So how's your education going? He says, what? It's really good, really. I really enjoy it. And I've been out of school. I said, have you been out of school? He said, 3 years. But I've gone back. I'm doing well. I really enjoy my education. And I said, okay then. So there's nothing really much more I can say with that. However, I did ask him a question. Does anything bother you? Does anything bother you at school? He said, only that I've got £1.40 to spend on food. Only that mum struggles. 12-year-old young man knows this. And he's very aware. How is that going to affect him in school? It really bothers him. Not only that, a few years ago, we had the closure Oh. Anyway, at school, the youth clubs were shut. What do you expect? Accessible youth clubs for young people where they can bounce off role models. Why? Thank you.
What we witnessed with you at the campaign.
I don't
Yes.
think so. No, you've got it. You've definitely got it.
Not me, man. I stutter on it, but you was on point. You was on point with everything. You know what I mean?
You know what I think though. This is my personal opinion. I believe that because one of the candidates had questioned me with regards to what have I done, etc. There was some questioning that went on, and for me, because I believe our party represents the ordinary people. So for me, I say, well, I'm an ordinary person. I've worked all my life.
Yeah.
I've done work in the community. I don't need to be a councillor to get on board as an MP. However, anybody with enough passion that knows what they want and has the desire to achieve something ecological for everybody, I think that's the important thing, really. As long as you've got good intentions to do some good in the community, that's what I believe we want. So anybody can do it. That's why I says you got it as well. Everybody's got it. It's just sometimes some issues, like they did for me when I was talking about last night, that burn a fire inside you, and the fire lights up, and you have to have your say. You have to have your say. I think that's what happened yesterday. There were certain things.
You do have a point. You do have a point. I was going to quickly digress to like one of my past guests on this show, the man called Do It All Kelly from Lords of the Underground, right? So I interviewed him on my show a few years back, and he was running for councillor for his city in America, and he told me that Tupac turned to him and says, we as hip hop artists, we as rappers, we could make good politicians because the youth listen to us. You know what I mean? What we say on our lyrics, you know what I mean?
That's right.
So he went ahead and he took those words from Tupac, and then he went on, and now he's a councillor for is he a councillor or something higher than that now? But yeah, something like that. You know, I mean, he's like mayor or something like that for his city. So big ups to Do It All Kelly of Lords of the Underground. But for you, sir, what gave you what made you decide to wise up? When was the point in your life when you wised up and thought, you know what, I'm gonna represent myself, I'm not going to listen to these other parties or what they're saying because they've delivered nothing? What made you decide to step up and wise up?
In relation to politics, or in relation to whatever I've been doing over the past few years? Okay, in relation to politics, I have to say one of the biggest reasons for me is internationally what's been going on in Gaza. That's number one. First of all, I'm not saying that's the only important issue. Wolverhampton West is extremely important because we're talking about social equality and social deprivation. We want to make sure that everybody has a dignified life and they can live comfortably without being severely affected by the poverty crisis, which is what we want to introduce. But for me, it was like seeing footage of innocent people. I've got this thing about, and I say it could be. I believe it's my Bible trained conscience. I call it.
Okay.
We've all got a God-given conscience. We all know partially what we know. Well, not partially. We all know what is right and what is wrong. That I think when we see things that are incorrect and unjust, that's what woke me up really. And for so many years I hadn't been voting, although I've been involved in a lot of community work. I hadn't been voting. But now I know the value of my vote. Just like you just said, put that X in the keywords from what you said. I'll put them in the right box. And a lot of people that I've been talking to, they don't understand what they're voting for.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you need to know what you're voting for.
I in the past I have voted for the quote wrong reasons unquote. All right then, I'll put it to you. I've voted in the past because I didn't like who was in office. You know what I mean? In fact, I'll keep it real on this. You know what I mean? Always being real, always paying back. You know what I mean? I didn't like David Cameron. All right, David Cameron. He didn't like hip hop.
Radio 1 of encouraging knife and gun crime by playing rap music that glorifies violence. Well, upon hearing Cameron's comments, U.S. rapper Reinfest decided to meet the leader of the opposition. I went to Westminster to see how it went. As a United States artist, why do you even care what he has to say about hip-hop culture?
Why shouldn't we address it? That's my music, G. Like that's our creation. I have a duty to stand up and address injustice, whatever it is.
Crime scene for me. He disrespected me. All right, he disrespected.
So you didn't vote for him because you didn't like hip hop.
So he was already in power, right? Reinfest pulled him up and says, "Yo, hip hop is this and that and that." And he's still none of it. So I didn't like this guy, man. So now I was like, you know what? I'm gonna vote. While he's in power, I'm gonna keep voting every year until he's out the chair, until he's out of number 10, and that was my result. But I wasn't listening to whatever issues anybody else had.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Whether you could call it that's on you. You know, that's on you.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You see, yeah. For me, for example, and I went to one of the other parties. We were talking, had discussions with them before I joined the Workers' Party, which is VIKAS CHOPRA. I am from the Workers' Party. I want to make that very, very clear. And it's VIKAS CHOPRA, Wolverhampton West. And I went to this meeting, and they were talking about this old building in town. One of the older buildings in town. They're talking about BTs. The whole discussion was going on about BTs. BTs, what we're going to do with it and stuff. And then one of the guys in one of the other party meetings said, "Well, Vikas, what do you think about this?" And they were all sitting there, and I said, "That's not the issue. The issue,
that's right.
The current issue right now is humanity."
Definitely. There's a lot of poverty.
Yeah.
There's more and more people getting more poor now. And energy bills are really sky high.
And the rich are getting richer.
Yeah.
So the issue is humanity, and why are people being slaughtered? People that have not done anything wrong. Why have we got over 40,000 Palestinians that have been slaughtered? No, I'm not a Muslim. People think I'm Muslim sometimes. I'm not, but I'm a humanitarian. And I have spoken to a few black people, and I've spoken to a few Asian people, and some from my own community, some from the Muslim community as well. But some people, when I spoke to a gentleman this morning, and he was telling me, I'm a member of the church. He says, I'm a member of the church.
Right,
and I said, that's brilliant, man.
They're going to be out there. They're out there. With you doing your thing, they're going to be out there. Yeah.
And he says, we always vote Labour. That's what he's saying to me. I looked at him. Okay. And he goes, we know what they did with Brexit and what the Tories have done. And he says, I'm a proud Labour member. He's been given this he's got a membership card. So he's thinking, wow. So as I was speaking to him, and I says to him, I had to ask him the question. I said, well, are you really God-fearing?
Uh-oh.
This is interesting.
I says, are you really God-fearing?
Oh, yeah,
and he says, so he looked at me. He's older than me. He goes, I've been here. He says, I've been here since 1950 or something. I says, okay, I'm listening to you. But I said, no man. He probably didn't like it because he wouldn't take my flyer off me.
Okay.
So I said, no man hath say they love God and hate their neighbour. It cannot work.
Right.
You can't say to me, and he said it, and he did say, I'm a religious man. So I said, if you love God, how can you hate your neighbour?
He's breaking his own commandments right now.
So then I said to him, I said, Labour, Keir Starmer said very clearly, and I said this last night as well, Keir Starmer said Israel have a right to defend themselves. He said Israel have a right to defend. Okay, everybody's got a right to defend themselves.
That's right.
But have you got a right to kill over 40,000 people?
That's right.
And that's, would you get a sledgehammer and go on a nutshell? Wouldn't, would you?
No.
You know what's wild about this, right? You know, when you take it back to 9/11, what was it? 3,000-4,000 people died in one day or whatever. You know, but they made a big deal of that. You know what I mean?
It's a trigger for the what was it a trigger for? I mean, I don't want to get too conspiracy theories.
Please.
Yeah.
But it's like, but it's like, yo, they made a big deal about a few thousand people dying. Right?
Yeah.
I remember a friend
And
of
a
mine.
building crashing down.
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine saying, "Oh, so what? 2 buildings fell down. Elliot died." I was like, oh my days. But going back to this, it's like when you hear about 40,000 people slaughtered, you don't really hear it like that.
You don't.
No.
To me, it just sounds like that's genocide.
Can I add
I'm just going to say that. Because
no. Can I add to that? Over 25,000 orphaned. So there's kids walking around. There's the hospitals that bomb the hospitals. They can't get treatment. Pregnant women can't get treated if they're having kids. They've bombed the hospitals. You know, it's so when you say where does the fire come from?
Yeah.
Inside me, I believe Labour, and I'll say it very clearly, Labour, we say they are genocidal, and they did not vote for a ceasefire. They, when our parents came in the country, we were told, Labour, Labour, Labour.
Yeah.
They are for
they're
for the working class. You remember your parents telling you?
Same here, man.
They said to me, "You've got to vote Labour," and I said, "Okay, yeah," and I did. Then they were for the people. I will agree, but now I don't believe they are. I believe the Workers' Party are for the people.
Right.
And as I say, I'm not Muslim, but I haven't got a Muslim agenda or anything like that, or Islamic. It's about the humanity of the situation, justice. So that's where I get my fire from.
So let me ask you this. So Labour's on that agenda. Can you say the same about the Conservatives?
Conservatives. What does Rishi Sunak keep on saying?
What do you do day to day to make sure you're still in touch with the kind of struggles ordinary people face? Have you ever gone without something?
My family emigrated here with very little. And that's how I was raised.
What did you go without as a child?
We went out with lots of things.
So what sort of things had to be sacrificed?
Lots of things, right?
Can you give me an example?
All sorts of things. Like lots of people. There'll be all sorts of things that I would have wanted as a kid that I couldn't have, right? Famously, Sky TV. Okay. So that was something that we never had growing up, actually.
You serious?
That's all he's been deprived of.
Listen, I never had a Sega Mega Drive, Rishi.
It's not that bad not having Sky.
I never had Streets of Rage 2 at the time, okay? Shut up.
If you listen to his words very carefully, he keeps saying, we're extremely proud of this. We're extremely proud of that. We're working with the Israeli government, and we're extremely proud that we're getting aid in. Excuse me, they are starving over there.
Yeah.
Word.
The whole community over there is starving. There's nothing there. They're not letting no aid in. There's a starvation going on there.
So are they proud that they're starving?
Well, is that what he's proud of?
Like?
If people are starving over there, and he's saying he's proud of letting aid in, he's either lying, he's either barefaced lying, or he's not fit to be where he is right now. He shouldn't be. One of the things I look at, they knock this down. One of the things I look at, if I want to be inspired by someone, if I want someone to lead me, I always look at how much humanity they have for their fellow brothers and sisters, for people. What kind of a person is it? Now, for me, if you haven't voted for a ceasefire, and you haven't got no humanity inside you, there's no way you are going to care for your own
Yes.
I can't see that. I can't. If someone doesn't care, they're not going to care for you, are they?
Of course not, man.
That's how I look at that party.
Right.
We call them genocidal parties. They're
Right,
both
both of them.
Yeah,
Right.
and what George Galloway says explicitly, he says, two bump cheeks of the same backside. That's what he says. So pretty much identical. You know, you ain't got one bulge there and one bulge there. They're pretty identical, and they're not going to give anything. They're not going to contribute to the running of the country. It's just not going to happen.
Well,
So we're saying is the way we would like to push things ahead. We're a socialist party. We believe in the community. We believe in nationalism. We believe in public services coming back and those public services building rather than the profiteering, privatised companies. But I did mention a few other things yesterday.
now,
I'll let you carry on with your question.
So now, I do want to touch more on the campaign at the event that we attended, right? And what was your reaction when the Conservative representative got challenged by the public? Because I think you missed that. I'm not sure, but
What did I think? Yeah.
yeah, because I think you were sitting right next to him.
I was, yeah.
You know, and
You know
I think
what?
the one lady just right. Listen, you're telling lies. You're doing it.
Oh, dear.
And my mum was
I
like,
did miss that.
yeah, my mum was like, I didn't know what to say.
Extremely uncomfortable. You know what? He's when I first heard him at the other hustings, very confident.
Yeah.
I actually think he's a really good talker. I do.
Him and the Labour representative,
Yeah.
I thought the both of them were good talkers.
And I think he could handle himself quite well. However, there's only so much you can cover up. You know, the truth of the matter is, 14 years I've had.
14 years too
14
long.
years too long. Yeah.
14 years too long.
So, do we want to carry on and help things get worse? Do we want the poverty crisis to extend? Or do we want the same thing as, do we want the same two cheeks of that one backside? Do we want that? Because
the two
one way or the other, if we're not careful, that's what we're going to get. You're either going to get a genocidal Labour that have no humanity, that don't care. I mean, the other day he was talking on, Keir Starmer was talking on about the Bangladeshi community, inferring that they come to this country to, and they come illegally and they need to be sent back to Bangladesh. But the Bangladeshi community are very angry about it. I don't know whether you've seen that. And they've started protesting already. They are not happy. You can't just say things like that. Mr. Starmer is not in touch with what's going on.
Even the name Keir Starmer and the way he presents himself, he doesn't look like a people person to me. He doesn't. The name sounds evil. I said it, Keir Starmer. Yeah, I said it on World One Radio. I said it on YouTube. I said it. You look evil, son. And I like evil characters personally, but him. He's not like this, all right, like
Covering yesterday, there was something that you mentioned yesterday about your father. I'd love you to tell us more about that, because we only got to hear a little bit about that yesterday.
Okay, we didn't have very long. Sometimes we just give you 2 minutes time. So
don't worry, there's no bell here. There's no bell.
I think I'm going to say some of the things that I mentioned, I'm happy to come back and do some return programs with you if you want on various subject areas. But that's cool.
Yeah,
but
true indeed.
If you want, I mean, and we can work with that. However, yesterday I was talking, because I lost my father in December.
Sorry to hear that, man.
And there was a lot of things that were said to him about me from my family side, etc. So we went on talking terms, but we started talking the last 6-7 months prior to him passing. And I remember going into hospital. He had cancer. That day, I went in to see him, and he looked at me. And the question yesterday was about euthanasia, and the question was about abortion. Those two elements.
Yes.
And And I answered, because when you start talking about those things, I believe code of ethics come in. So for me, the code of ethic is life is precious.
Yeah.
I believe
precious.
life is so precious.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that we should not, misuse it. We should not misuse our choice either. So we need to get the X's in the right box, as we mentioned.
Yes, it's.
But anyway, when I went to see him, he seen me he was in the bed. I went to see him. He tried to climb out the bed to say, "Take me home." He was unwell. He'd been a little sick, but it was just like a flu. And apparently, doctors took him upstairs. They said we've done some tests on him, and he's in palliative care. We're going to withdraw his fluids. They gave him one set of antibiotics, but they said the infection had moved, but we're going to withdraw his fluids. Now, I know for a fact, if you withdraw anybody's fluids, a couple of days, they withdrew his fluids, he couldn't take no insulin, he's not allowed to have anything to drink, but I actually insisted and brought some fruit in to dab his mouth with to make him feel.
Right.
But I didn't know that I was not informed, and I did not know that when I give him these 2 injections, and as soon as he had those injections, his eyes went all yellow. I don't know whether you've seen that film Evil Dead, but it looked like it was scary. It was scary. It was very scary in terms of, well, what's happening to Dad? And 3-4 days I'd watched him, but I didn't know that was happening to him. And I went in to speak to the nurse, and I says, "What's going on?" Because she said, he's at peace. And you know what? I had to watch him breathe his life.
Oh my days!
Over 4 days. Now for
me,
but you know what? For me, that's an issue that is to me.
Is this like NHS?
For me, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, at NHS.
No, for me now, they call it palliative care. That's what they call it. It's palliative care, end of life care. However, I think to myself, if I was going, I want to go at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
And if that was the case, they should have given us the option to take him home. And you know what? I have later on discovered, upon speaking to other people as well. Now we're talking about. Now I believe he didn't die of the cancer.
Yeah.
He died of malnutrition, of not being given food, and of being given medication. Now palliative care, that's how it apparently works. But I know for a fact families that have been told the same thing. They've taken the family member home and they've lived another 5 years.
Wow.
So for me,
yeah.
And the other thing about it as well, you mentioned about COVID as well.
Yeah, and also, what do you think about NHS system? What do you think to it?
At the moment, it's overstretched. We don't have enough people, and there's a lot of bureaucracy as well, meaning that sometimes you go in one room, this happens there, somebody else comes to assess it, then you go into 4 or 5 different rooms before you even see the main surgeon.
Yeah.
That bureaucratic lack of staff, they're overstretched. And what's going to happen when you're overstretched? What are you going to do? You're going to make mistakes.
Yes.
So we need
focus, man.
We call it wealth redistribution. We need to bring some wealth back in, reinvest, get the right people in.
Yeah.
And the right amount of people. You can't have one person doing 3 jobs or 4 jobs. It isn't double shifts, triple shifts, double shifts. It just can't work.
It's bad enough because they're doing 12. They're doing 12-hour shifts, man. You know what I mean? And even for me, like an 8-hour shift can take a lot out of you, depending on what it is you're doing. A 12-hour shift. So Labour are proposing, Labour, who's supposed to be for the workers. Yeah. They're proposing we're going to tax you more and put the money back into that system. But the thing is, you aren't going to solve all the other issues. So what we're proposing is we can see now there's a big divide. You've got the rich getting richer through privatisation and capitalism, and you're getting the poor are getting poorer. So we're suggesting those with the broadest shoulders should carry the weight. So those are, the strongest, So we're going to
tax the rich.
It's come to the point now where
they can afford it.
Yes, they can. That's pocket change to them.
It's come to the point. I'm sorry to cut you, Mr. Chopra. It's come to the point where now my mum's every now and then will ask me, "When's the next cost of living?" You know what I mean? Like that's become a thing now. Relying on cost of living because the poverty's that bad.
Saying that as well, there's a lot of vulnerable people out there that they're really. I mean, I was saying this yesterday, knocking on someone's door. The neighbour comes out and says, they're going to be able to come out to you. They actually are not capable and able to come out, and they're living on their own. They won't answer the door. So just be aware of that. I says, okay. And I'm wondering, first of all, does anybody check on them? And number two, they said, well, look, if you go into the house and look, you'll be able to see through the floorboards. So we haven't even got decent housing.
Man.
Which is like, 20 years...
I would like to bring something up as well, sorry.
Yeah. About 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When our parents came here, 20, 25, 30 years ago, I remember the streets being cleaner. A lot more cleaner than what they are. But now we don't see that element. So the housing standards, you see loads of rubbish.
Yeah,
piled up. What's rubbish going to attract? Vermin.
Rats.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other issues coming out of this. Not only that, and we're talking about mental health as well. People are just. I viewed a property in another part of a town, and I tell you what, I thought I was in a minefield because there was poo there. There was poo there, and there was poo there, and I was thinking to myself, is that how people are living? They don't even use a toilet.
My days.
And the landlord who I was speaking to, he says, it's a way of life, it's a culture. It's not a way of life or a culture.
It's not a way of life or a culture.
No, and that's what I had. That was the explanation. But I was looking to invest in something. And it just put me off straight away.
I remember back in the day. You know what I mean? I remember back in the day, each household had one bin. You know what I mean? And it was big. Now, when I go to my mum's has got like 3 bins, right? Three bins, and they're all smaller than the original bin that we used to have. You know what I mean? A one bin would control everything. Now it's like 3 different bin, and it don't make no sense. You know what I mean? And they keep changing the colours of the bin. Like green used to be recycling and black used to be like general rubbish, and then you had a brown bin, I think it was like for garden waste or whatever, I don't know. But they keep changing the colours and confusing people.
I got confused. In fact, I had one of those yellow labels put round mine about 6 weeks ago. I put the wrong thing in there. So it's getting more and more confusing. But I think people, the point that I'm trying, there's vulnerable people out there that are really, really struggling, and they either need mental health support. There's a lot of programs that need to be delivered. I've always been a personal development man, so I'll help people. People sometimes come to me and I help them to help themselves. I was doing some stuff with the GPs, and it was helping reducing diabetic patients. I was running a program for them, and the turnaround, they realised I got some people coming in, and the turnaround after that, and they said only 10 turned up. They said they'd invited 100 people, but 10 turned up. Okay, but 10 turned up. They did turn up. You should have run it again and again and again to get the engagement. By the way, I am PPG chair at my own surgery. So that's a patient participation group. So I'm the chair of that. So, and the reason why I joined that group was I thought to myself, you know what? Prevention programs. People are very reactive to things that happen. I think if you deal with them beforehand and identify the root causes, you can alleviate that stress. So I believe in. So I'm a keen advocate of, if you put the prevention programs in place, that will alleviate, along with the investment. You've got to invest something in it. You can't have a pot of money there and say, look, I'm going to put so much money in there and expect that to boost it. So it's not going. You have to throw something in, let it circle, spin. It is not going to work, you know. So we do need reinvestment, but the way. Okay, because we are there for the ordinary working people.
Yeah.
We want the ordinary people that are struggling with the poverty crisis to receive support, and that is what the Workers' Party is about. We want ordinary people that are struggling, not the rich getting richer. We just want some money to come into their hands.
Yeah.
They can go out to shops and start spending money in the shops as well.
Yeah.
If we change the tax threshold, which is 12,200, to 22,200, people will have a couple of £100 more at the end of the month, which will help them, help them more, and it will encourage other people to work as well. Because the way the system is, people don't want to work because some people don't want to work, I believe, because they're getting the same amount or getting more on benefits than they'd get from a job.
They do more on benefits. They want to help them more. And talking about poverty as well, I did want to mention to do with properties and poverty about these energy bills being ridiculous. Some people, the bills are so high, they're basically sitting in darkness. They're not using any electric or any gas or anything. Then some of the bills are really high. What are your feelings on that?
Well, these profiteering companies, I call them profiteering, greedy companies, are making billions.
They are.
They're making billions. So why don't they or the rich put something back into the community? Because if you're taking all the money out and squeezing everybody that's struggling to pay, who drives society? It's the ordinary workers that work hard, that do 12-hour shifts, that do these couple of 24-hour shifts to get things done. Those people are driving the country, not the rich. But at the moment, it seems to be that the rich are taking from the poor and getting richer. So the energy companies or the corporations, they need to hand some. If it's democracy, everybody's got to be involved, and people, a society must, and I was having this conversation earlier on with somebody else, a society must function together in order to make it effective.
Right, see it there. You've got, I mean, I know you had like 2 minutes at the campaign, so I'm going to give you an extra 3 minutes, yeah? All right then, so it goes a little bit like this. Why should the people of Wolverhampton West in particular, vote for you and the Workers' Party?
Well,
July 4th.
Yeah, I would advise everybody to look at what they're voting for, what they want from that particular party. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't have an interest in politics, but it does involve our future. Our leader, George Galloway, has predicted if Labour win, they will take us into the Third World War. We've got to be very, very careful. Yeah, we've got to be very careful with what's developing in Russia. We've got to be very, very careful with that, and with the Chinese as well. However, voting for us, we are if we're looking inwardly, we're saying we're a socialist party, and we are there for the ordinary, struggling household that needs support. That's what we're there for. Labour aren't there for that. Labour are looking at privatisation of the NHS, which means greedy profiteering. We want to manage and have debate and discussion in relation to Big Pharma and how they are going to profit from what they're taking out of the NHS. In terms of the profits from Big Pharma should be coming back. They should be coming back, not going to profiteers. They should be coming back into the community. We want to have a good, healthy debate on that. We want to make sure that we can assist everybody with decent housing, free access to education, free transport with education as well. So there's a few free things that we want set up. We want public services like they were. We are the new Labour, really. We want public services nationalised so they can generate funds. When they generate those funds, they can be reinvested back into the community, so the community can work together. We want more awareness programs, education programs, and development programs. We will tackle the NHS. We will tackle the NHS issue. But in Wolverhampton, I'm a very empathetic person. There's two principles that guide me, and I say those principles for me are, first of all, you love your God with your heart, mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
Number one, yeah. And number two is you love your neighbour as yourself. You love your neighbour as you love yourself. So we want people to become more productive. I myself, as I say, I'm a personal development man. I want people to. I want people to develop and self-develop, and Wolverhampton West to take on the same mindset. The people that I've been speaking to have been saying to me, quite a few, I don't vote anymore. I'm not interested in voting because none's going to happen anyway. I don't trust none of them. But the point is, if you leave your vote out, you're letting other people take control. 34% of people don't vote. 34%.
Whoa, that's a number, you know. Yeah.
So the person that would take that 34% would be significantly, they would win. Yeah. So we want to make sure that people are putting their votes in the right boxes to the party for the pub. We want it for the people. Young people, if you're out there and you're from the Wolverhampton West area, I would say take it seriously. If you see me out there campaigning, have a discussion. I've talked to so many people and I've turned them around in minutes just by having a conversation on why they're not voting. I say, haven't you got a voice? Someone says to me, I've got a voice, but I just don't believe. I believe we're in the system, and that's what it is. And because we're in the system, and I said, you know what? We are in a system, but the only way you change the system is by using your voice. And I've got a motto, and the motto is silence kills. So I would say to you, vote for me, Wolverhampton West. Vote for the Workers' Party if you're in different towns, because we are there for the community.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
And there was no bell about it. That's what's up, man. You know what I mean? Mr. Chopra on RePPiN4U Hip Hop Show. It's what an honour and privilege to have you on and to take time out. You know what I mean? The hectic campaign. And there's just a few days to go. You know what I mean? That's fantastic, man. I'm
so happy I met you. You had a conversation with me before our first conversation, and you can vouch and say, did it trigger something within you to say, well, listen, I don't know, you tell me.
I mean, I feel like I've heard the issues firsthand, right here and now. You know what I mean? We may not even covered everything, and we did cover certain things. I know there were certain things that we covered in the campaign that we didn't cover here. You know what I mean? That we wanted to ask, but you know, we only got a 2-hour show. But no, I really do appreciate you taking time out. And again, it shows your integrity, man. You know what I mean? To come out and do this. You could have chose any radio platform in the world. You could have chose any platform, and you chose ours. So I really appreciate that.
I've had an eye-opener coming out here today and just meeting some brilliant people.
Thank you.
Both of you and this young man over here.
Yeah, salute him.
It's been an eye-opener. Good communication, you're to the point, and it seems like you guys are really interested in some of the social issues. Although you cover music, you're interested in what goes on.
Yes, we are.
It comes in hand, depending on what you're listening to. We're at that age now where that becomes really more important. You know what I mean? Of what we're listening to and what our kids and our our eventual grandkids be listening to as well. You know what I mean? Before, we didn't understand how our parents acted so fussy about what we were checking.
Yeah, and about Labour as well.
Yeah, but now...
all I heard when I was younger was vote for Labour, vote for Labour.
It's like
that was installed inside me to vote for Labour. Yeah,
but now it's like the understanding's there a lot more now. So we get it.
If anybody's struggling with understanding, just look up socialism. What socialism is about.
That's it.
That's what
be of service to you. But also one of the things the greatest man that ever lived said, he said, what can a man do? And he said, you must learn to serve. That's what the ancient text says. You need to learn to serve others. That is what I believe I'm about. I like to look at things that are going on very carefully. I like to pay close attention to people. And I'd like to say that I'm a very empathetic person and that I'm very approachable as well. Now, the other thing I was going to say was we have plans. We have plans for the issues that we talked about. We have a plan, and we will look to push those plans to make things better. So, for me, what do I look for when I look for someone to lead? I look at whether that person has humanity. I look at humanity, one of the key things that I look at. And based on what Keir Starmer said, and based on what Rishi Sunak said, Keir Starmer said Israel have the right to defend themselves. But do they have the right to kill over 40,000 people? Secondly, what does Conservative Rishi Sunak keep on saying? We're very proud. We're very proud of this. Are you proud of not letting? He said we're very proud of letting the aid in. Well, there's starvation going on in that country. Starvation. And people are being brutally killed. One of the reasons why I got involved was because of what's going on in